reconnect, live, laugh, and love. Connections, dreams, getaway experiences. Braveheart Workshops. Unique Getaways live with Jill Reynolds.
Live, the Connection Show. Restore, renew, reconnect with others. Hi, this is Jill Reynolds live with my friend Dee Wagner. Hi, Dee. Good to see you
Hello.
today.
Hi, Jill. Great to see you as always.
Oh, great. Well, just to tell the audience a little bit about Dee, she's a counselor and a dance movement therapist. She's an author, a workshop leader, and a speaker. And so she has an amazing bio. And I'd love the audience to know a little bit about what dance movement is and what Dee does in her practice. So, Dee, if you could share with the audience a little bit about your trademark program called Chi for Two.
Absolutely. So, I am a dance movement therapist. And what that means is that I am interested in helping people be in their bodies in ways that are restorative. And specifically, dance movement therapists pay attention to connection, to relationship, because it is within the dance of relationship that we are able to embody or that we disembody. And there's lots of ways of talking about that these days. A big buzzword is what they call co-regulation. And what co-regulation means is that I send out a message through the way I look at you, through the tone of my voice, and that creates a certain feeling in you. And then that feeling you have creates a feeling in me. That goes back and forth, me to you and you to me and me to you. And if it goes well, that's co-regulation. So that's a snippet about something that we dance movement therapists are paying attention to that's related to connection.
So, with that, let's transition and ask you then, with the practice that you're using with your clientele, how are you utilizing connection in your personal life during social distancing right now?
So in my personal life, I am lucky that my romantic partner and I are sharing space together. And that's a wonderful thing to have someone to shelter in place with. We also have an art space. And so I go to our art space to do my therapy work. And I am lucky to have a second space in that fashion. And I am doing all my therapeutic work right now using mental health practices, using Zoom like this, and using phone. I have spent a long time as a dance movement therapist paying attention to the dance of connection. Phone connection is very powerful because we only have the other person's voice. And part of the neuromechanisms that are affected by communication, one of the first places that is affected is the middle ear muscle. So phone work has a potential to have a very hypnotic kind of, and so I will talk with my clients about that. You're only hearing my voice. If you would like, we can do some work where I make a suggestion, knowing that your body's not going to take any suggestion that you don't want. But is there anything you'd like me to suggest? Like maybe you'd like to hear me say, tonight, it will be more possible than ever before to rest when it comes to bedtime.
Well, that's powerful stuff. I really appreciate you sharing that. So, that's an amazing way to connect. Amazing. And with that connection that you're utilizing, what would you say, Dee, would be a dream for you in 2020? What dream do you have, or dreams or goals for 2020?
Because of the pandemic and the social distancing, so many people are attending to the dance, the nuanced, energetic dance of relationship and how it is affected through technology, that it's a ripe place for this practice called Chi for Two. So Chi for Two is practices, just like yoga is a practice, and we can practice a golf swing. These are movements that are very key in how we come into our bodies within relationships. So when we mindfully do these practices, it changes how we live in our bodies and how we do relationships. Very simple things, like for instance, a romantic couple can be side by side on the sofa, side by side sitting in the bed, and can practice noticing how it feels in their body when each person takes a turn saying, "You are on my side."
And so with that, your dream is to
So my dream,
share this Chi for Two practice with others around the world.
yes, well said. That is exactly what I was headed toward.
Yeah, that dream. Well, I for one would love to experience this. This morning I try in the morning to do a short little Bible study and meditation, and this morning I was praying, God, help me to be more loving and compassionate to my husband, who I tend to be harsh with throughout the day when I'm in my busy state. And for me to pause and just say, wow, treat him more with kindness because he's my helpmate and just such a compassionate person. And sometimes I'm just so harsh with him. And I caught it this morning when he was trying to talk to me and I was rushing to get on to the Zoom with you. And I just said, honey, I'll spend some time listening to you when I'm off the Zoom if you can just give me a little bit of time instead of just and yeah, I caught myself. And
Awesome.
yeah, and I think for sure, especially during this time of social distancing, and we're so confined with our mates, if you're married or with a partner, I feel like, the anxiety and the stress level is heightened. Is heightened.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, yes. It's like, and many
Mhm.
of us, we're trying to do our work from home and trying to maintain our relationships with if we're married, if we have children, and balancing, those parents out there that are trying to balance schoolwork and work and relationships and friendships. It's hard. It's almost like a bouncing ball and a juggler to juggle
Yes,
all these different
yeah.
things. There's a Christian singer. Her name is Amy Grant. She's very famous. And if you get a chance, audience, indeed, listen to her song that she wrote in the 80s called Hats. And it's like, I have to put on this hat. Now I have to put on this hat. I have to put this one on. Now I'm a mother. Now I'm a dancer. Now I'm this. And how do I balance all of these hats? So,
Yes, and Chi for Two would invite us to notice these moves you're doing, Jill.
mhm.
These are called contralateral moves. They go from one side to the other. They cross the body, cross the midline. And when we do these moves with body awareness, we can begin to feel our center. So when we let ourselves be aware of these moves, da dee dee da 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 da, we can begin to get more in touch with our center, settle down, realize, because this is a very right brain awareness, there's plenty of time. There's no rush.
Mhm.
What is the most important thing is having space for first myself and then for my lover.
Yeah, what I love, again, I don't know why I'm talking about Amy Grant so much this morning, but she posted, and I have it posted on my Facebook page. So if the audience, wants to go to the Facebook page, Braveheart Workshops, and look at it, she posted a live video. Dee, you'd love it. That last week, it's had probably close to 1 million views. And she did a meditation called I Live but I am love. And she talked about in her meditation how her saying to herself, I live and anxiety. I live in fear. That's my truth is I'm living in anxiety right now, and I'm living in fear, and I'm living in stress. And she acknowledged, instead of pushing it away and saying, I'm not going to be afraid, she said, I'm living in this. I'm living in this. And she would say what she's living in. And then she would stop and lay down on the floor and say, but I am loved. But I am loved. And so she would stand up again and say, I am living in busyness or whatever she's living in that moment. And she was always trying to pray these feelings away and push, like, how can I get rid of them? Instead, she spent time quieting herself and living and centering herself in what she was feeling, and then going posterior and saying, I am loved. And she would do this for 15, 20 minutes a day, almost like her chi dance. And she said it's just brought her such peace during the storms. And so I just wanted to share that with the audience because it really did fill my heart. And I started trying some of this. I'm like, wow. And this morning again, when I was doing that Bible study, as I was aware of my harshness with my husband, I then ended my prayer and just said, I am loved. Like, I am loved, because I can be so critical and shameful of my own behaviors. And then I forget, but I am loved. I
Yeah,
am
and that
loved.
that my I know we discussed the questions you were going to ask me, and my getaway wish is that we get to do that it works out to do our retreat, our Chi for Two relationship retreat. There is a so that practice sitting in the bed. So if we get to do it, if my wish comes true, and
When we get to do it.
when we get to do it, and the couples who spend time watching one another work and then go to their rooms and do this practice where you sit on the bed side by side and say, you are on my side. And then you face one another, hands up, but not touching. And you realize you say anything you wish about your partner. When John and I did this, my partner, I said to him in the pandemic here, I wish I could control that you will never get sick.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could control that you will never die.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, that is beyond my control. I don't have the ability to do anything to make those wishes come true. And he said a similar thing to me. And then you lie down on the bed together, just like Amy Grant did, and feel the support underneath you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on my partner's side, but something else has got my back.
Yeah.
There is a power greater than us that is supporting both of us. We often, with our lovers, feel like it's our job to support one another in ways that we do not have the power to support.
Well, and especially Dee, I think, you know, for those listening that are married, I want to just share this for the married couples out there. Not to exclude people who are just in a partnership, in an unmarried relationship, but those in a married relationship. I just happen to be a firm believer in Scripture that talks about that when God has joined us together, He's brought us together in oneness and wholeness, and as a helpmate to each other. And so I think this practice of where you can see each other side by side, but then you can see yourselves together in union is such a beautiful manifestation of partnership.
It is true. Now, as people begin to imagine being one, sometimes that's where the problem comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think this is a biblical intention,
Mm-hmm.
but we therapists know that our romantic relationships are going to trigger all the infant efforts to be one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get irritated with our partners. So when we realize through an exercise like this, or even like this, but not like this, that I don't have a control over you that I might wish I did. But again, there is a power greater than both of us. So we are partners, we are helpmates, and we can share responsibilities. You have yours and I have mine. Mm-hmm. But the support for us is something greater than each of us.
Well, and what, that's divine how you shared that. And as you're speaking, my mind was traveling to think it's such a paradox, because if you think back when a little infant is born, because you brought an infant, and that baby's inside the womb and it's connected so closely with its mother. And then the moment it's born, the doctor cuts that umbilical cord and the baby takes its first breath of life outside of the womb and experiences for the first time different parts like abandonment or anger when the baby gets spanked. And it takes on its own identity. And that baby starts to grow and has its own thoughts and feelings and emotions outside of the mother. But it needs that parent to help it grow and thrive. And then as it keeps growing and takes on more of a personality, what transpires? But we teach our children how to be independent and self-sufficient so that as they continue to grow, hopefully they'll leave the nest and take off at 18 and flourish. And so then they go through life flourishing on their own. And then what happens next? They fall in love and they decide to get married. And the marital vow says that they're going to leave their parents, join together, and cling together as a couple. And so this circular chi energy, as you call it, is paradoxical in the fact of connection break, connection break, connection break, and then trying to find that unity without it being codependent and enmeshed, but being loving and connecting, clinging, but not controlling. Is so paradoxical.
We teach what we call a chi for two hug. Mm-hmm. So in chi for two, you learn I am a self-sufficient bubble of support, circle of support for myself, an individuated circle of support as an adult, just like you described. When I hug my lover, I don't pop my bubble and merge, because then to disconnect would hurt.
Yeah.
So I bend my bubble in, I wrap my bubble around you, you wrap your bubble around me, then we can cling without merging, and therefore we can separate without there being the kind of pain that would destroy us.
Yeah, the abandonment doesn't come in.
Yes.
There's the abandonment triggers and the disconnect and despair. Those parts don't come back in.
Yeah.
Because again, if you think about it, that's the very first part a human being experiences when that umbilical cord is cut. The very first part that a human takes in is abandonment, when they're disconnected from their mother. And we don't realize as human beings how much abandonment issues we truly do have. And so to really connect with, this is the connection show, connect and embrace those parts and spend time loving them is so important. So with your getaway experience, Dee, her husband, her partner John, and her son Stephen, and his partner and wife Erin, are hoping that you will join us in Branson, Missouri this September for a couples relationship getaway experience with the four of them, where they can help to encourage you and work with you to embrace these practical theory of Chi for Two. So that's the getaway experience that Dee has coming up. And then Dee, can you share with the audience, if you were told you have to get rid of all your apps on your cell phone, but you could keep two, what are your two must-haves?
Well, to be very self-revealing, I have a really old phone. And I actually don't use apps on my phone. I use my
Wow.
phone for the phone. And then I have a nice laptop. And so I do most of my work, most of my technological work I do on my my notebook. And
So
I
if you had
haven't
to
really.
take all of your apps off or your downloads off, what two would you say I have to keep these two?
Well, I don't even think about apps. I mean, my computer will use apps, but I don't even know what apps are doing. I don't really. I'm not.
I guess
in
what
the-
I'm saying to you is on your computer. If you had to take everything off your
Yeah,
computer and you could only have two features on your computer, would it be like email? Would it be
I see what
Zoom?
you're saying.
What would it be that you said I have to have these on my computer to do my work?
Well, these days I would need Zoom, that's for sure, and email.
Those would be your two must-haves. Yeah, and then because a lot of people have a lot of stuff on their desktops and their
Right,
laptops, lots of
right.
them,
Yeah,
lots and lots and
yeah,
lots of them, from
yeah.
Excel spreadsheets to Word documents to all these different things. So, and what's one fun fact about Dee Wagner?
One fun fact about me, my undergrad degree is theater, and for years I was a professional mime.
Oh, that's a fun fact. That is a fun fact. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And what I'd like to do for the audience right now is just put Dee's bio on the screen for you to see and know how to connect with her. It has her website or Facebook page. So this is how you can find Dee to ask more questions and to gain more understanding about Chi for Two. And like we said, Dee will be joining me and my husband, Larry, in Branson, Missouri, September 10th through the 13th. And we only have space for 8 couples. We know the pandemic has slowed people down from traveling, but it looks as though a lot of the different states are opening up their borders now for people to travel. And I did post, Dee, on my Facebook page yesterday a coupon for $100 off for anyone who's a mom. If you're not a mom, you know what? I'll give it to you anyway. All you have to do when you register in the promo code, put the word mom in, and it will be a Mother's Day blessing from Braveheart Workshops. So I just wanted to share that with those of you who'd like to register now. We only have space for 8 couples, that's all. So I'm hoping that those 8 couples out there who heard this will register now with just a deposit to hold your space. And the money will be fully refunded should anything occur where for some reason the event had to cancel because of the pandemic or because we didn't have enough attendees. So please don't wait and just register now. Put a deposit down and that will guarantee a space. So with that, I'd like to share before we sign off that the Connection Show has started to go live now every Monday evening on live connection gathering Zooms, Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the way to connect at the Connection Gathering is to go to braveheartworkshops.com, that's workshops with an S, click on Contact Us and fill out the contact form with your email. And please do that right away, because what I'll do as soon as you fill that in, I will email you the Zoom link with the password to join us. I want to keep it secure, so please fill out that contact form with your email and then join us this evening. So thank you so much, Dee, for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you and hearing you tonight on the Connection Show, Connection Gathering. Bye now, and have a wonderful day. Thanks so much, Dee. Let's connect now. We can dream together to renew, restore, and reconnect with wellness in our life. Go to braveheartworkshops.com. Join me for weekly Zoom connections on Facebook at facebook.com/Braveheart Workshops. Thanks so much for joining the show, and we look forward to seeing you on